I wonder if I dated him even though he doesn't have XYZ, even though he doesn't make as much money as me, he doesn't have the same level of education as me, he doesn't have the same earning capabilities as me, he wasn't really raised in a similar background, but I'll give him a chance, I guess. Don't do this. Hi, this is Janelle, the relationship coach behind The Successful Invisible, and I have the honor and the privilege to work with wonderful professional single ladies who are 35 plus and who are out on a mission to date better and have better dating experiences overall. So today's dating tip is very simple. Never settle. This is especially important for the ladies in the demographic that I work with. I work with women who have 1 to several degrees, and they are usually earning in the 6 figures, from middle to higher 6 figures, right? And the reality is, it can often be challenging to find potential men to date. And I've seen this many times in my coaching practice, as well as with peers, friends, and acquaintances, that a woman should never settle. Why do I say this? There are multiple reasons. The first and the easiest reason is because being unequally yoked, and yes, money in this context is important, especially for the age that we're talking about, is going to cause tension in the relationship, especially in a patriarchal society such as the U.S. It can cause dissension, resentment, jealousy, someone being undermined by their partner, and a whole slew of drama that's completely unnecessary. It's also going to lead to potentially entitlement, that a woman who is a higher earner is deciding to settle for someone who makes less, and now that man feels entitled to that level of salary that woman makes. Although this is usually the same gentleman who would call a woman a gold digger if she wanted a higher earning man. For some reason, he can't see the same things in himself. But one of the biggest things is never settle for less, because what you will end up getting is less than what you actually settled for. So what I've seen happen time and time again is when a woman has settled on dating someone who does not align with her, I would say if finances is a big one, but in personality, in breeding, in level of education, in goals, in level of ambition, in approach to life, drive, etc., it usually results in the woman who settled and compromised on what she wanted. It usually ends up in that guy offering even less. So say, for example, we'll use round numbers. And this is very close to a client situation I dealt with, worked with a client who was earning about $200,000 a year. Okay. She was a child-free woman as well. And she started dating a gentleman who made around $50,000 a year. Her friends weren't too keen on the idea because this man did not compliment her in terms of level of education and level of exposure, even though they were comparable ages. What ended up happening was very shortly after she compromised on something that she wanted, meaning a man who made a similar salary as herself, the guy she was dating ended up quitting his job or getting fired, or something happened and he was no longer employed. He had the expectation of her to pick up the slack for basically his living expenses. And I feel, if I recall correctly, I feel she did loan him some money. I say loan, she was never paid back, once or twice. But when she started to, listen to what her friends were saying as well as what we were discussing, and I was challenging her in a loving way about why she was giving this man money, and she pushed back, he was very affronted and felt entitled to her $200,000 salary. Thankfully, she did not live with this man. Even though he was pushing to live with her, she did not allow him to move in. So it was a lot easier for her to cut him off. Also, she did not live in a single family home. She lived in a secure 24-hour apartment building with gated parking and everything. So, once she broke it off with him and he attempted to then try to bully and intimidate her afterwards, it didn't work out well for him. It didn't work out at all because she put a lot of people on alert. in her building. She also, recorded some of the messages he had sent to her. Now, that is more of an extreme case where it led to something that could have potentially put her in danger. But the point is, it was not a wise move on her part to ever settle for him in the first place, because as soon as she settled, he started doing even less for himself, meaning even being able to do less in terms of taking her out, going on dates, even to the point of supporting himself. So I was very thankful she nipped that in the bud early because she had a support system around her. But I say all of that to say, never settle. Women should not settle. And I know that sounds cliche, but never settle, because you will end up getting less than you settled for.